You're listening to the Grind Line Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. You are listening to episode 329. I'm your host, Greg. I'm here tonight with Ryan. Ryan, how are you?
I'm super. Trying not to lose my voice. Kids are passing around the plague right now, so it's great. But the positive is we got Stanley Cup hockey on right now.
We do, and it is weird because if you live in the Metro Detroit or Midwest, you know how it has gone from hot to cold, back to hot, back to cold, back to hot, and it really destroys children's immune systems. They can't keep up. So
and those with allergies.
My daughter went through the same thing for a week, then off a week, then back on a week, and now she's finally stopped coughing like yesterday. So hopefully we're through the woods on it too, but it is terrible. It is not a fun time.
No.
But tonight we have a little bit of news to talk about. So, and it's not a lot. So it's not going to be a super long show. What do we want to start with? We want to start with the hopeful news or the definite news?
Let's go the definite route.
All right, definite route. The Detroit Red Wings have signed Jesse Kiiskinen to a 3-year entry-level contract, and then he subsequently said he is going back to Liga next season of his own volition. It's more that the European players more frequently seem like they are more comfortable if they can stay at home in their pro league, more comfortable staying there longer because it's where they're from, it's where their family is. It's more comfortable for them to play there. Liga has become a better league as time has gone on, and he has been one of the better players in it. But that is a pretty big it's a big signing, and I'll let you talk to it, Ryan, on kind of breaking down how we acquired Jesse Kiiskinen and how he's tied to Jake Wallman.
You would let me have to talk about that. No, it was the sneaky good play when the Wallman deal went down was getting Kiiskinen out of all of this. I think we highlighted it when it first happened, but the dude's a playmaker, but also a goal scorer. And there's a lot of sneaky excitement about him. I mean, he had a solid 2025 World Juniors this past year. You look at the body of work he's playing with the men's league already. He's seeing some pretty decent international time. I mean, this is a young goal scoring fin that Detroit kind of needs. They need that I'm going to attack the net mentality and not be afraid to do it. He's a good size. He's 6'1". He's pushing 200 pounds. You'll see that here soon. Maybe. Would you like to see him come to the AHL? Yes. But I mean, to your point, he's only 19 years old. When's his birthday? It's August. So he'll be 20 in August. I mean, give him another pro year, bring him over when he hits going into his 21 season and let him develop. I mean, the kid's a natural player. If you go through the highlights, like I said, he attacks but he's also a leader. And I think that when you look at the body of work to this point at such a young age, that's the mentality you're seeing Detroit start to shift to, is aggressive players, but playmaking players that can go in and make an impact for your team in the right ways.
Yeah, as Ryan alluded to, we got him from the Nashville Predators. He was drafted by Nashville in the 3rd round, number 68 overall in 2023. We sent Andrew Gibson in a pick to Nashville for Kiiskinen in a second, and that second is what we sent off with Jake Wallman to San Jose, but Kiiskinen was the player that we kept. And unknown why Nashville was okay giving him up. But
more head scratchers from Barry Trotz over there.
Yeah, but what kind of really stood out to me is his leap from year 1 in Liga to year 2. So in 2023-24, he played for basically the Pelicans junior team for 8 games and had 21 points in 8 games, 14 goals and 7 assists. And they're like, okay, he should probably be in the men's league. And then he went to the men's league and in 38 games had 4 goals and 6 assists for 10 points. So that's an okay first 38 games in the Liga. But then this season, in 46 games played, he had 14 goals and 30 assists for 44 points. And it was a big difference. And then he goes into the World Juniors, and in the World Juniors, he puts up 7 points in 7 games. In all international play, put up 14 points in 14 games. And it was pretty, I mean, it was our all international junior play. He put up 14 points in 14 games. So it was a good season for him this season. It'll be interesting to see where he slots in. There are some people that say, well, don't get your hopes up because it just looks like he has bottom six talent. I'm not so sure about that. He's only 19 and putting up big numbers in a men's league. He seems to be a pretty offensive heavy prospect. He's a right shot, which is a huge plus. And EP lists his player type as heavy shooter, which I've seen. And like you said, 190 pounds, you want him to put on a little weight, but he is 6'1". And at almost 20 years old, I mean, by the end of his growth, if he's pushing 210, that's a heavy kid who, I mean, probably could get some bite to his game as well.
Well, you think about it too, to that point, you've got him signed to his ELC. That means now you've got an extra layer of communication taking place for what they're expecting over the next year. Because obviously, if he's not over here, that contract slides for a year. So we get to salvage a little bit of it. So the management team is going to put together their expectations for what they want to see from him in terms of a training plan over the next season. And you ride that high, and then we see what we saw with MBN and ASP come the end of the year. Hopefully he's coming to Grand Rapids to help them make a playoff push, and a better one than what we saw this past season. But everything's in place for him to be set up for success at this point, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, Dauber initially had his summary as a physical, hard forechecking scoring winger with a good set of hands and an effective shot. Needs consistency in his overall game. Still, with proper development, he can become a middle six forward. And if you get a middle six forward out of that, that's kind of what we talked about when we were talking to Tony. What the Red Wings are kind of lacking right now is that depth offensive ability. And if Kiiskinen can come in and you can swap him between your second, third, probably not second line, depending on what happens with Patrick Kane, but your third line and maybe play up when he needs to and be able to put some pucks in the net when the top six guys aren't scoring, that's what you're going to ask of him. So it was a good pickup at the time. I think a sneaky pickup because no one was really talking about him. And you were able to watch him develop and watch his play evolve and watch him just steadily put up more points, almost a point per game in his first full season in the Liga, where he will go back to. So I think it's a pretty exciting pickup. Cool. And with that, I mean, quick first subject out of the way. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the second subject of the night, which is another prospect that might have the chance of coming over. So give us a quick second, word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. During our quick break, I just want to tell everyone about something that's totally changed my mornings, Strong Coffee Company. If you're like me, you love your coffee, but you also want it to actually do something for you. This is the upgrade you've been looking for. Strong Coffee isn't your average cup of joe. It's an all-in-one instant blend made for people who care about their health and performance. You're getting 15 grams of grass-fed protein, 5 grams of MCTs for long-lasting energy, and adaptogens like ashwagandha and L-theanine to help you stay calm, focused, and productive without the jitters or crash. The black blend is bold and smooth, made from organic fair-trade Arabica beans, and their lattes, they've got collagen, hyaluronic acid, healthy fats, the works. It tastes amazing and helps you feel sharper, sleep better, and just show up as your best self every day. And on top of all that, they're eco-friendly too, so you can feel good about what you're putting in your body and how it's made. Check them out at strongcoffeecompany.com and use our code GRINDLINE, that's strongcoffeecompany.com, promo code GRINDLINE at checkout for 20% off. That's GRINDLINE for 20% off your order. Give it a shot. I think you're going to love it. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back. And the second topic we are going to hit on tonight is one of the guys that a lot of Red Wings fans caught onto and are really hoping for, and that is Dmitri Buchelnikov. So just to refresh everyone's memory, Dmitri Buchelnikov, drafted in 2022, second round, number 52 by the Red Wings. He is currently listed as 5'10", 170-pound right shot winger. He is 21 years old. He will be 22 in September, and he's currently playing in the KHL. So the big deal with Buchelnikov previously was that he had signed, I believe at the time it was a 3-year deal with his KHL team. This would have been season 2 of that 3-year deal, I believe, and he would have had one more remaining. Right now, he is playing for VTS Moscow in the KHL, and this season had 65 games played with 15 goals, 39 assists for 54 points. It was a big jump. One of the best players, young players in the KHL, was setting records for kids his age. And then our friends over at Hockey News Hub tweeted on the 3rd, so yesterday, hearing that VTS may be out of the KHL due to lack of funding. Alexei Shevchenko reports that VTS will remain with a new main sponsor. Nothing yet, though, is official. Hearing the team will notify players within a week of what their future holds. So the big thing on that is that if the team goes under, to me, that seems like a pretty easy out on your contract. It seems like a way to say, well, he becomes a KHL free agent. No one, and then if he's a free agent in the KHL, there's no reason for the Red Wings to say, hey, we can put you on the bottom 6 right now on the Red Wings roster. We'll trade Berggren's rights for peanuts. We'll put you directly in the lineup and see what you can do, because you're going to provide as much as he did, if not more, in season 1. So I think it's a big chance there that if the team goes under, he comes over to Detroit, which is kind of what we've been asking for. We were looking for ways to get him out of his contract.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for quite a while, to be honest. And I mean, you look at a kid like Buch, who led his team in scoring, who was not a very good team in general. It says a lot. I mean, we knew that he had a dangerous shot. Like we were talking about Kiiskinen just a minute ago, he has a good shot. It's not Buch. To me, him and Buch are very different players, but in a good way. Buch is going to bring that flashy Russian style of hockey for you. And think of him maybe a Kucherov. I'm not saying that's the shot that he has, but that's the style play that he's going to bring for you. And that's what you need or are hoping for as a Wings fan. And if this does come about, that's best case scenario, I think, for Detroit. And that, to your point, I don't see why you don't make an attempt to bring him right into the NHL. Yes, there's prospects. I get it. He's a prospect too, but he's playing in a very difficult league on what was arguably a mid team and still led them in scoring. And he's doing it with goals and he's doing it with assists. That is a type of guy you can bring into your third line and just let him have at it. And I don't think you're going to be upset about it. Now, is it risky? Yes. But at the same time, I think you go for it.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know if flashy is the right word. He's extremely entertaining. Yeah. He's on the non-hockey side, he's like a really funny kid. When they watch him, they basically say he's like the class clown of the group. He's trying to always make people laugh and be funny. But on the ice, he's very, I don't want to say cerebral because maybe that's overstating, but he's also a really good setup guy. Yep. Like 39 of his 54 points were assists. And he's really good at finding open ice. He's fast, so he's able to get into the zone quick. But he's got good eyes. So like if he's not scoring, if he's not putting the puck on the net, he has a great pass. And again, I think it's a lot of, do the Red Wings avoid maybe picking up having to go out this free agency and sign a depth offensive forward when you can bring in possibly a guy like this and play him instead of having to sign someone. And then you focus that money on top six and you focus that money on defense. I think it gives you a lot more. I mean, sad to lose a team in a league, but I think it just opens up many more options for you to save money and to play guys that people want and that clearly want to be here. Now, KHL players really don't come over and play in the AHL. They know that the KHL is a really good league, possibly the second best league. I mean, there are other leagues that are coming up, but for all intents and purposes, the KHL is the second best league on the planet.
Yeah.
They'd rather play there.
You've seen it the last couple of seasons in particular with young touted prospects. Now, granted, like a Demidov, these guys are good. Nikishin, I think it was that who it was for Carolina that came over for defense. Like, these guys are coming in, they're playing on the same ice surface. They're playing in many regards former NHL players in the KHL, which, yeah, you see that in Europe as well. But it's really is a toss up as to what the second best league is in the world. But a lot of folks are going to say it's the K. And I think it's fair to say that's why you see that transition made so much faster for these guys and see them so impactful for their teams when they hit the NHL. And to me, I would hope as a Wings fan, that's the type of impact you could see from Buch.
And I think it might help if we don't get rid of him, having someone around like a Vladimir Tarasenko that you can be comfortable with. He's a Russian player. He knows what Russian players go through when they come over to the NHL. It's not always sometimes the easiest transition. We've seen a lot of players, high skill KHL players, come over to the NHL, fail, not provide what that the coaches think they're going to provide or the GMs think they're going to provide, and then they go back to Russia. I think was it Shipachev with the Vegas Golden Knights, who came over for a season or two, didn't do what they thought he was going to do, and then ended up going back to the KHL. Sometimes it doesn't work. So that's where you kind of have to have a little pump the brakes moment. But again, this is a kid and he's very young. And like, it's less likely, I think, to work with players who are already 23, 24, 25, who are over in the KHL. And they're like, this is my chance at the NHL. And then it's just the development is not there. The time to develop further is not there. When you get a kid that is 21, and I think Buch was a late draft pick. I think he was 1 year post when he could have been drafted, that still has that development time. And one thing that we've pointed out a couple times is that I think is really important in all this is he comes over to Detroit in the summer to work out with the prospects. So he's around the guys. He's getting to know guys that he's going to
just
play.
Over here recently too, wasn't he?
The last time I saw was preseason of this past season.
I thought it was more like in the last month or two, like shortly after their season was over, he was over here.
Maybe. That's possible. But as much as they can get in his ear is probably better. But I think it's really good for him to be around the guys he's going to be teammates with and get to know them and get to know the organization and be around the city, because it just keeps it in the forefront of his mind that it's something he wants to do, because that's the other angle is people are like, he's from Russia. Is he going to actually come over? Does he want to? And it seems like he really does. And I think there's a chance, and I can't tell you how good of a chance, but I think there's a chance that he becomes a highly impactful NHL player.
That would be fantastic. There's some other news that came out of the KHL with some former Red Wingers the last couple days as well. Did you see that?
Oh, I did. Was it Kozlov?
Slava Kozlov was announced yesterday, June 3rd, as a HC Sochi as their head coach. He was the Dynamo assistant coach the last couple of seasons. And the professor, Igor Larionov, is going to St. Petersburg. He was the Torpedoes head coach from 22 to 23. Took them to the playoffs. So the couple of former Red Wing legends from the 90s are going through the coaching carousel in the KHL.
Yeah, still nothing with Sergei, right? Sergei still doesn't have a job, I don't think.
And I thought I've seen of late. These are just, I saw Keith Gave posted about Slava, and then I saw that Larionov post the other day.
Well, if you want to keep up with the Buchelnikov news in the KHL news, I recommend following Hockey News Hub at Hockey News Hub on Twitter. And he posts a whole bunch of Red Wings stuff because Red Wings have a really good prospect over in the KHL. But he keeps everyone up to date on what's happening over there, and he will be the one that we get our news from. I guess because we have time, we can touch on it real quick. NHL Watcher at NHL_Watcher over on Twitter said that on Real Kuiper and Born, Elliot Friedman said he believes the NHL's new centralized draft format will last only 1 year, with the league expected to return to the traditional format in June of 2026. Says everyone realizes this was a mistake. And when we talked about it, I think we kind of said the same thing. Yzerman was asked about it a couple times, like, is a centralized draft weird because you're not in the room with other people? He's like, no, we can still call them. But I think a lot of GMs finally figured out that, hey, it's a lot easier to pick up a phone or go walk over to another table when you're in the room with people, and you can go get a coffee with another GM and you can talk about stuff during lunch or whatever and make deals then, or work on deals, than have to have 16 people all with a phone in their hand trying to reach out to other GMs. I just think it's much faster when they're all in the same room.
Weird. I don't know. I like it when they're all there. It's a different setting. I get why they try to go to the centralized. Isn't it more
drama? There's like more drama to it.
You got everyone looking at everyone. You got all the fans there breathing down your neck. It makes it a fun experience, in my opinion.
You've got Bobby Margarita like, hey, why is Steve Yzerman over there talking to Jim Nill? What's going on?
I mean, even the GMs previously have stated how they enjoy how you're right there. Things happen that you never would have expected if you weren't next to each other. So I don't know if it was who really truly wanted to make that call, but
Gary,
it adds to the intrigue. You know, it's where's it going to be? Is it going to stay at the Sphere?
I would think so. The Sphere. Okay, so the Sphere is an excellent location. There's plenty of room. It doesn't look like it when you see videos, but it is a big area. There's a big floor. The
Huge.
Presentation at the Sphere was fantastic, simply because you have all that room. So, plus Vegas is a fun city. If you haven't been to Vegas, it's actually a pretty fun city. Dirty, but fun.
I love them moving it around, though. Like the way the NFL has been doing that. I know people will talk shit about Green Bay, but seeing the amount of fans that were there this season because it didn't beat Detroit, getting that excitement for a draft to come in, suck it, Green Bay, is awesome. And that's,
it was awesome in Detroit too.
We've been hoping for one. That's why I kind of love them moving it around the way that they are, and that hopefully we'll see one here. And but we're picking like 28th or something when it finally happens.
Yeah, we were actually promised one a really long time ago before LCA was built. And then
you mean
Gary's
when the district was supposed to be built out and it never did?
When there's more district, and they'd have to convert a lot of these parking lots to the district Detroit in order to make that happen.
I mean, honestly, if they would just do the hotel that they've talked about right next to the stadium, that alone will sell so much more, because you're going to have more centralized parking. Well, yeah, me too. I'll get hammered and just stumble across the street.
Exactly.
Be awesome. But you'll have the hotel. Like if they just put a hotel and some other kind of housing right there, or even just giant L-shaped hotel that covered that whole space, you're not going to be hurting, because guess what? You've got a couple sheets of ice there. Now you can have some hockey tournaments right there at LCA on the practice rink. You can have it on the big rink. You can have basketball tournaments. You can host any of these Final Fours, or in the future, I doubt they will, but it opens you up to a lot of opportunity, but also a lot of local revenue, which is what we always want to hear, is that there's money coming to Detroit because of these events. And that's how you make it happen.
Jumpstart the prospect tournament, build a hotel, have the tournament at Belfour underneath LCA. You could use both sheets of ice. We are one of the teams in a unique situation where our practice ice is in the same arena as the actual ice, and you can have multiple things going on at the same time, which is really cool. And you're right. They talk about, they're like, you need housing. One of the other big things is public transport. Detroit is terrible for public transportation. The Q line is a giant pile of garbage, and the people mover smells like
it's right there.
Yeah, it is. But the people mover's supposed to be getting an upgrade or some kind of refreshment or something like that. So I think there's a possibility, but like you said, you need places to put people, and you're not just going to fill them into Motor City Hotel. You're not going to, because it's a travel thing. Like it's not super close.
No, and that's the problem, is that most of the hotel situation, you're staying toward the centralized downtown area, which is a solid 15-20 minute walk. And if you're talking more toward winter, guess what? It's freaking cold.
Yeah, no one wants to walk.
Snow, and it's just, you're miserable. So you want to be as close as you can to the arena. that should have been a no-brainer from the get-go, but hey, what am I just other than some Joe Schmo as a fan over here?
Then you start doing surveys. But yeah, I think that the centralized draft idea was, I thought it was kind of dumb from the beginning. Apparently the GMs figured that out a little bit late, so they will be going back to doing drafts in cities. So Bettman put us back on the list. That's all we got for tonight, though. I mean, everyone can finish talking about the Florida Edmonton game, because by the time you listen to this, it will be over and Edmonton is up 1-0. Florida's on a power play. Ryan, who wins?
Oof. If honestly, I think it would be Edmonton in 7.
You think it goes all the way?
I do.
Okay, so I brought this up to, and I'll just real quick. I think that Ovi may have broken the Canada curse.
I saw that, and I hate you for it because it makes a lot of sense.
Because when Edmonton traded Gretzky, and then Canada hasn't won another cup, and then Ovi breaks the record, the Canadian record, I think that might have finally unlocked the last...
Lifted the haze.
Unlocked the last lock in the cursed chest to open it up and let Canada win another Stanley Cup. So
I hate you for this if it comes to fruition.
It'll be interesting. I'm gonna say Edmonton in 6. That'll be my
win it on the road, huh?
Yeah, win it on the road. Make the Florida fans sad. But I think that's gonna do it for us tonight, Ryan. Final thoughts? Anything?
I just want I want a long series. I'll just put it at that. But of course, the way that Edmonton is starting, almost scoring again, who knows how it's going to go. I mean, we've seen them play, both teams, how they've played this year. And I think it's going to take a minute for Florida to catch up to the speed, because they're playing the geriatrics in Carolina for the last 2 weeks. So it's going to be a bit of a culture shock, I think. But they're going to settle in, especially probably as this game moves on in particular, but going into game 2. And then it's going to get interesting. But it's hard to bet against Edmonton, in my opinion. That's it. Already ran 33.
Yeah, you can follow me online at Bringing the Wing. You follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. We give a shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network and thank them for hosting us and spreading us around. Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from, and work down to where we have an exclusive t-shirt collection. If you go to their website, click on the Keep It Local tab, click on the Grindline Podcast, you will be able to see all our shirts. There's also a link in our YouTube video. So if you go into the details of the YouTube video, there's a link to it there as well. And speaking of YouTube, you can follow us, sub to us on there, turn on those notifications. You'll be notified every time an episode goes live. That's going to do it for us tonight. So for Ryan, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.